All right, Gabino, you're supposed to have a co-reader here, but I don't see her logging in yet.
She said something on Twitter about being backstage or green room or.
Well, yeah, I don't see her here in the green room. So I'll just go ahead and introduce you, and then I will track her down. Of course, he was supposed to be one of our celebrity guests in person this year in Williamsburg. Unfortunately, the pandemic has curtailed that, but he's here with us virtually. He's a Bram Stoker Award-nominated author whose books include Coyote Songs, Zero Saints, and the forthcoming The Crossroads, co-written with J.F. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir.
Gabino Iglesias, welcome to the stream. Oh, there she is. She's popping in now.
There we go.
Can you hear us?
So.
Let's hope.
I've seen this horror movie.
That's like RoboCop, The Next Generation or something there. And we lost her.
I've seen this movie.
Where was that during the Nightmare on Elm Street panel? All right, brother, I'll tell you what. You go ahead and start your reading, and I'm going to send a DM to Cina and see if we can't help her out, okay?
Yeah, she's there, so.
All right.
We good.
All right, I'll be backstage here.
Will do. All right, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for donating your money. You know, Brian is incredibly nice. He takes a nice route always. That's why he's our Batman. I'm not that nice, not a nice person. You know how I'm always talking about writers don't have time to write, and then they binge watch shows and take long naps. Don't tell me you were too broke to donate. I better not see you with a cigarette or a beer, or signing up for another streaming site. You got $2, you got $5. Stop buying crappy Starbucks coffee and donate. I usually read from Coyote Songs until I have the next one out. But here's the thing: this is so special that I decided it was time to switch and start giving folks a little bit of the next one. Especially because of the way that it starts. In the first chapter is titled "Death of an Angel," and it goes a little something like this: leukemia. That's what the doctor said. She was young, white, and pretty. Her brown hair hung like a curtain over her left eye. She talked to us softly, using the tone most people use when explaining something to a child, especially when they think that the kid is an idiot. Her mouth opened just enough to let the words flow out like liquid blades. She said our daughter had cancer in her blood cells. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Those strange words were what the doctor said. Her voice, an impossibly sharp, velvety, slow-crawling worm that buried into my ear and made my brain explode. Her soft delivery didn't help. You can wrap a shotgun in flowers, but that doesn't make the blast less lethal. The young, white, pretty doctor with the silk voice told us it was too early to tell for sure, but there was a big chance Anita was going to be okay. Okay, that's the word that she used. Sometimes 4 letters mean the world. Those 4 letters were pregnant with hope. She said, big chance, and then immediately added she wasn't making promises. Humans fear being someone else's hope. I understood her, but I wanted her to be my hope. She explained that acute lymphoblastic leukemia was a type of cancer that affected the blood and bone marrow. Then she looked at us and said bone marrow is the spongy tissue inside our bones where blood cells are made. Because she probably thought we were stupid. The doctor repeated that she couldn't make any promises because cancer was always a tricky thing, but she wanted us to know that many children make relatively quick recoveries from leukemia if they are diagnosed early. Then she tilted her head to the side, moved the curtain over her eye an inch to the side with a quick flip of her head, and placed a manicured hand on my wife's shaking shoulder. Her practiced sympathy looked as legitimate as her perfect nails. I knew we were just another case on her stag, and she was throwing us a sliver of hope so we could hold on to it even if it slashed our hands down to the bone. Maybe all the way down to the fucking bone marrow. Still, we believed her. We needed to believe her. We looked at her snowy robe and thought about an angel. She would deliver us a miracle. There was no other option. Not believing her meant something so horrible my brain refused to acknowledge it. Believing in something else, something different, is all you have when faced with an awful reality. When the doctor walked away, my wife started saying, "Mi hija," my daughter. She sat down. She cried. She repeated, "Mi hija," again and again. She said it until it became the heartbeat of her nightmare. "Mi hija, mi hija, mi hija." She repeated those words until there were only sounds. "Mi hija, mi hija." She kept repeating the same words until they lost all meaning. I said nothing because my pain was beyond words, my fear something my vocal cords could never give shape to, my surprise a shock so big I couldn't begin to articulate it. Anita was only 4 years old and had always been healthy up to that point. She had never had anything worse than a cold, a few ear infections, and the random teething fever or stomach bug. Chemotherapy would work on her. It had to. Medical research had made tremendous advances in the field. We lived in the future. It would all be okay. All we had to do was stay strong. Our little angel would go into remission in no time. God was good. He wouldn't let a baby suffer. No one deserves miracles more than unlucky angels. It would all be fine. God and chemotherapy. A winning duo, right? We convinced ourselves of this. Our baby was too full of life, too strong-willed to lose that battle. Our baby was too loved to die. We went home and walked around in a constant panic. I couldn't breathe right for 2 days. I felt like an alpinist who runs out of bottled oxygen near the summit of Everest. But then I saw Anita smile and hope blossomed in my chest. It was a warm, comforting feeling that allowed me to start breathing normally again. Then came the nasty surprises. Turns out we hadn't caught the monster as early as the snowy coats thought. It also turns out that little brown girls with acute lymphoblastic leukemia tend to have a lower cure rate than children of other races. Oh, and the incidence of leukemia is higher amongst Hispanics. Yeah, even awful diseases are fucking racist. You know the worst part? The wonderful doctors at the hospital couldn't tell us why. Yeah, the difference between a curandero spitting rum in your face and a doctor looking at you with no answers is a white robe and the smell of disinfectant that surrounds the latter. The poison in Anita's veins wasn't happy with invading her blood. It also wanted to know what she was thinking. It wanted to know the contents of her dreams, so it attacked her cerebrospinal fluid. Le invadió los pensamientos. Se metió en sus sueños, and it slowly killed ours. I can see the future, but when bad things are about to happen, I sense it. I get this cold feeling in my gut, and I know things are about to turn bad. I can smell bad intentions on people by the way they look at me. I smell them the way a dog smells body odor. And I hadn't seen this coming. I had not seen this coming. I'm going to leave it there and turn it over to Cina.
Oh man, that was incredible, Gabino.
Thank you, and good to see you.
Good to see you too. Sorry for the technical hiccup. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Gabino.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you to Brian. Thank you to everyone here. Please support this cause. It's a wonderful cause. And thank you again. Thank you so much for inviting me, everyone. I am going to read one short poem from my poetry collection, Poems of My Night, from Raw Dog Screaming Press's, from Raw Dog Screaming Press, and then a short story. So from Poems of My Night. Amanecer. A cursed wind blew, shaking the trees. My windows, the streetlights swayed, disturbing the night, reminding the world that day crept forward with its promises. Shadows lurched from their corners, angry at the great offense. I remembered a dream where I dreamt the world and it dreamt me. Was this more than just a reminder? Was the silence telling me it was time to sleep, to dream the day? Since I was awake, unable to dream my day, did this then make me an insomniatic fool? Were all of us who were awake right now tempting the fates, defying our obligation to end the night? Our muddled minds together were hazards to the light. The threat of a forever night lingered, and the darkened shapes watched me while I watched them. Stepping away from the blinds, I closed my eyes and wished for it to come just once more. Maybe another chance is what I needed. When I woke, I silently cursed myself for constructing it all back together. My house, the birds outside, the sun, and the dirtied sidewalks on spotlight. Outside, an old man with a black cane walked past my window. Suddenly, he stopped, turned, and smiled at me like only a blind man could. And now I'm going to read The Red Dress that was published in Ink Heist. And this is an adaptation of Dress of White Silk by Richard Matheson. It's quiet here. Father has locked me in my room. He says it happened again. Maybe I was bad. Maybe. Only it was not me. It was the dress. My mother's dress. Mother is gone. She left us. Father says she's in heaven. I don't know how she can be in heaven if she's dead. I hear Father now. I hear him closing the lid to the heavy wooden box, the box that holds Mother's dress. He's crying louder now. I hear a click as he locks it away. I wish he didn't. I am angry now. The dress is beautiful and it smells so sweet. I like to spread the dress across my mother's bed, and I curl up against it, running my fingers down the smooth fabric and rest my cheek on the shoulders, where I turn my nose into the material and breathe in the scent deeply. But I can't lay with the dress ever again. This is why Father is mad at me. Today was like any other day. Gabriel came to my house. He lives across the street. He comes to play with me. I have a playhouse, Legos, toy cars, stuffed animals, paint, Play-Doh. I have all of the things that I want to play with because Father buys them for me because I can't leave the house. Father told me not to go to my mother's room, and I hate when he tells me that. I love Mother's room. When it rains, I go in there. When it snows, I go in there. In the nighttime, I go in there and I dance and twirl on her lovely white and blue rug. I don't make any noises when I do this because I do not want Father knowing when I'm in her room. Mother's room smells so sweet. What I like most about Mother's room is the picture of Mother in a golden frame. Mother is pretty. My hair is black like hers. My eyes are black, blacker still. I like to sit at my mother's vanity and I pretend I am her. I can smell her white dress even when I'm seated at her vanity. Her going out for the night dress is what she called it. Father was afraid of Mother. Father has his own room down the hall with many latches on the door. If I listen hard enough, I can hear the dress move. I pretend to see Mother sitting at the vanity. On Mother's vanity, there are bottles of perfume, nail polish, lipstick, eyeshadow cases, and more. All of the things that she didn't need to make her beautiful because she was already beautiful and she could lure anyone. I can hear my mother now saying, I'm going out and you cannot stop me. Father would cry when she would say this. She would take his face in her hands and say, shh, no one can hurt me. When I would sit at Mother's vanity, I would pretend to brush my hair, but I would take care never to touch Mother's hairbrush. Father removed all of Mother's hair from her hairbrush. Mother is so pretty. I love her so, so much, even though she's gone forever. I think of myself kneeling on my mother's rug and in front of that box surrounded by roses. Fresh roses come every day from those who knew Mother. I wish I could take the dress out and sleep with it every day, but Father says I need to stay away from the dress or it will burn me too. He cries about the dress. I never did bad things with the dress. I put it back neatly in the box, except for today. Gabriel came over for lunch as he does sometimes. He's the little boy who lives next door. Father went to take a nap. He reminded me not to play in Mother's room. Gabriel said, I bet you never even had a mother. You just made it all up. I got mad at him. I too had a mother, the most beautiful mother. Liar, he giggled. Gabriel can be so mean. I told him to follow me to Mother's room, and that's when he hesitated. No, he shook his head. You're scared. I smiled wide, so wide I showed him my teeth. I'm not scared. Gabriel followed me up to Mother's room. It's dark, he said. It's darker in my mother's room. You're making this all up, he said as we entered the room. Gabriel was scared to see the roses around the box, but roses aren't things to fear. This is my mother's picture, I pointed. Gabriel turned white. It smells in here. It does not smell, I growled. Gabriel was making me mad. Yes, it smells like sick people in here. You don't want to see the dress, don't you? Father is smart, but I am smarter, and I had a key to the box. I opened the box with the key. That smells bad, like garbage, he covered his mouth. Be quiet or you'll wake Father. He's very tired. I shoved Gabriel with my hand. I'm telling my mother that you pushed me, he cried. I pulled the dress out from the box and held it against myself, the skirt cascading open around my legs, sounding like falling dead November leaves. That dress is not white, it's dirty. It's not dirty. I held it up, smelling the arms, the collars. It was white once, I finally admit, but it's red now. Mother made it red before she died. It's dirty, Gabriel shouted. I want to go. It smells. It's ugly. She's ugly. I got mad and pushed Gabriel hard this time. He fell back against the vanity, knocking over Mother's things, the glass bottles and the hairbrush. My mother is the most beautiful woman in the world. Her dress is the most beautiful in the world. I dug my fingernails into his face, slicing skin. It was as if the dress moved in my arms, or maybe the dress moved my arms. Gabriel screamed, I think, but I just don't remember. It grew cold. Ice formed inside of me and curtains covered my eyes. I could see nothing, but I felt teeth and hands, and I heard my mother whisper, don't let him say that about my dress. Father pulled me away from the dress. He separated me from the dress. I don't know what happened, but I heard him screaming, it's happening again, over and over. He dragged me all the way here to my room, and he locked me in. I heard the hammering of nails outside my door, and no matter how loud I scream and no matter how much I beg, he will not let me out, but I'm not scared. He can keep me here for years, but one day someone will let me out. One day someone will let me in. I'm not hungry now. I'm still full. Thank you.
Damn. I'm done. Y'all got the genre. I can't compete with that. I'm done. Wow.
Thank you so much. From you, thank you so much.
Wow. So we got a couple minutes. If folks have questions for Cina or Gabino, put them in the chat, and I will see. Those of you watching on YouTube, I should say, those of you watching at scaresthecareweekend.com, you can maybe tweet me a question real quick if you have it. Tracy Robinson says, we'll listen to Cina and Gabino every day. Frank Edler says it was spectacular. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of comments here. So Gabino, I did see somebody ask you read from your work in progress.
Yes, sir.
Does it have a title yet?
No, because I suck at titles. But, I mean, I'll get it done, then I'll slap one on there. Other work in progress has a title. It's the Crossroads. So it's
how many things are you working on right now? You're finishing up
3.
I should say when I tell folks the Crossroads with J.M. Gonzalez, that's Jesus's final novel. Well, there's 2. There's Final Retreat, which I'm finishing up, and Crossroads. But Crossroads was his most personal book. It's the one he felt he was put here to write. I listened to him talk about it for 15 years, and I knew just from my background I was not the person to finish this book for my friend, but you were. But so you're working on that. You're working on the one you just read from, and then you're working on a third one.
I'm trying to collect collect stuff from my past that has never seen the light of day, that was written in Spanish, and I think the next novel will be titled The Hard Ones, and it takes place in Puerto Rico. So I wouldn't say I'm actively working on it. I'm just collecting old stuff that sucked, but I had some good ideas and some bad writing. So hopefully I'll cannibalize those and put them in there. And for the Crossroads, man, it took me about, I'm not going to lie to you, it took me about 6 months to actually put the first words in there, because now the fear is gone. Now you can say whatever you want about it. You know, I was the one to finish it, but dude, the pressure. This is
I get it, man.
Look, we're talking about. So, but then I sent you a little bit, and then you approved. So I was liberated. And
I straight up get it. It would have been the equivalent of somebody handing me one of Richard Lehman's unfinished novels and saying, "Here, finish this." I get it. Cina, what about you? What do you work on, one thing at a time, or do you work on multiple things?
I'm working on a bunch of things right now. And I usually work on one thing at a time. So now I'm trying to like work on all these things. I just turned in my edits for my book, Children of Chicago, coming out from Polis Agora in February 2021. So that's like a detective horror novel based in Chicago. I have another one coming out from them in 2022, I think. And then I'm self-publishing a collection of true crime poetry the end of this month, because I'm obsessed with all things true crime. So, and then a bunch of other things, like with anthologies and Burial Day, my little boutique press that we're doing a few collections. So it's been busy, but it's a good busy.
So, right. Southwest Review.